What is going on, everyone? Welcome to another episode of the Yamcast. Today is episode 72. Holy crap, the Yamcast is fast approaching episode 100, and that is insane to think that one day we'll get to 100 Yamcast episodes. We gotta do something extra special for that one.
That is so many Yamcasts.
We'll get to that one this year, I think. Yeah,
Maybe we should offer up the Gixxer 250 as a grand prize for the meme contest.
No, we should try to pull a RevZilla and go do it live somewhere. Try to get a big meetup, get a bigger crowd than they did. Gotta figure out how big their crowd was. All right, today we are talking news from KTM has a new partnership for some performance parts because you got to go fast because you're ready to race as a KTM boy. We also have some GP news that I will certainly not spend 15 minutes talking about. Is Marquez, some news from him. We also have to talk about it, news from Harley Davidson. Would it be a Yamcast if there wasn't news from Harley Davidson? My God.
Electric bike news.
Or electric bike news, or scooter news, or ADV news. It's like, well, I was talking about the same thing. We then have chapter 2 of the Yami Noob fanfic. Has been provided to me on Discord. I'm going to read that. We then have the DM portion of the podcast where we're going to be talking about how you guys got into riding. We're going to poll the Discord boys over here. They're going to send us some DMs and let us know how they got started riding. Should be a fun time sharing some stories. And then lastly, excuse me, my voice cracked there. Lastly, we are having a bit of a different thing for the third segment of the Yamcast today. Normally we do a meme contest. Today we're doing a trivia game between you and I.
We're going to test our random motorcycle knowledge and see how much we know or don't know.
Yep, so we asked our Discord boys to send us some fun trivia questions. We're going to see who is more knowledgeable between Spite and myself. I feel like it's going to be pretty evenly matched. You've spent many, many moons writing scripts. So have I. We both have amassed a sort of brain collective of motorcycle knowledge.
Weird esoteric facts.
Yeah, seriously. But yeah, let's get started. Let's get into it. Sit back, relax. It's going to be a good one. All right, Spite, what do you want to talk first? All three of these topics are pretty good.
Yeah, do you want to start out with the KTM stuff since it seems like the lightest?
I want to talk GP.
You want to talk GP? Let's talk GP.
All right, so what's the news of our favorite boy, the 8-time world champion, Marc Marquez?
Marc Marquez can see straight.
Yes!
And he can see straight again.
That's really good news. I was really worried about Marc there for a while, man. That was pretty scary.
So for those of you guys who don't know, he went riding off-road, practicing, as they all do in the dirt.
Yep.
And he done bonked his noodle a little bit, and it aggravated a previous injury.
Yes. This guy blew up his arm, his shoulder's always having problems, and now he can't see straight. Like, he really is the Terminator, man.
Yeah.
Like, he is the Terminator of GP. It's insane.
The thing is I was so, at the end of last season, he won. He had some great throwdowns. He won 3 in a row.
I don't think he won 3 in a row. He won the Saxon Ring, he won Coda, and he won Misano, which was a fluke because Pecco crashed out. But he did win.
Yeah, and then I think maybe he had a podium the week before he got to Coda.
And Pole got second, which was his best result ever. It literally was his best result ever.
Good job for you, Pole Spargaro.
Good job, Pole.
But yeah, he had a really great close to the season.
Yeah.
He was throwing down with Pecco at Aragon. That was incredible.
Yeah, he was in form.
Yeah. And I was like, yes, Marquez is going to be back. 2022 is going to be his season. We're going to see him throw some shade at Fabio, and finally somebody's really going to have words for him.
Yeah.
And then this happened, and I was like, oh, come on, man.
So the funny thing about this is actually really good news for Marc, because in years past, Marc has sometimes not been able to test at Malaysia. He's had shoulder problems or arm problems or whatever problems. He doesn't get to test that often, and yet he still comes through and destroys. So the fact that he now gets to test, I think bodes really poorly for everyone else on the grid. They should be really scared because he's going to be fully fit.
Yeah.
He's going to be fully fit. He'll have tested. God willing, if he doesn't get himself hurt again, but the man only knows how to ride one way. He only goes maximum yeet. He rides 11/10ths no matter what. I'm actually rewatching the 2015 season right now because I'm just like bored and waiting for GP. And his style of just backing it into every corner and just, I just love his style so much.
He's a freaking maniac.
He's a maniac, yeah.
Like seeing it back at COTA this last year, when all of the other riders were like, this is terrifying, we can't ride here, and Marc and Jack were the only people who were going all out.
Yeah.
And you could really tell when Marquez hit his stride, and you were like, this dude's on another level.
He always is. And it's just incredible to see that his record at COTA has never been broken. Well, except for that year that he crashed, but that doesn't quite count. He didn't get defeated. He beat himself, you know? Like, he crashed.
I mean, he was like 10 seconds ahead of everybody when he crashed out.
Yeah.
That was, I mean, come on, dude.
Yeah.
And Rin's got a podium, so there he goes.
So here's what I'd like to talk about. 2022 GP, Marquez is going to be back, fully fit. Where do we kind of go from here? I think 2022 is going to be one of the most interesting seasons for MotoGP. What do you think?
Yeah, I think that we're going to see, obviously Quartararo is, like, he's on a whole nother level.
He's good. He's consistent. He barely crashed.
He's really consistent, really healthy, really...
He's on that Jorge Lorenzo energy.
Yeah. He's got too many tattoos of himself.
Yeah.
But
I still, to this day, like, Fabio is like, I don't know why. He's like your little brother who likes sneakers. That's how I see him in my brain.
I thought like he was having his like perfectly waxed chest so that when he got the like, when he got the title, he could have his face tattooed on his chest.
No, he's too aerodynamic. He can't grow any hair. That's what it is.
But yeah, so Fabio's obviously going to be, I mean, he's out for blood.
Yeah.
Marquez is just Marquez, so he's going to throw everything at him.
And I think also Honda is so tired of getting disrespected. They were like, the GP budget has been tripled. Build a bike that works. Have you seen what the new Honda looks like?
No.
It looks completely different than last year's bike. It looks like an angry wasp, and it looks super Ducati-esque. I'm like, holy all right, they're done playing. Like, they want to win. They're so sick of everyone be like, oh, Honda sucks, blah, blah, blah,
I mean, maybe if they throw some money at pole and they can actually have two riders.
Nah.
I mean, it's still just the Marquez program.
It's the Marquez program, yeah.
I mean, if they can get a bike that keeps the rear tire under him the entire
because you saw how good he was in cold conditions.
Yeah.
He had the grip and he was there, but warm, it was like, the bike doesn't work. You know?
So, I mean, Marquez is going to be a force to be reckoned with. And then...
But you can't... Yeah. There's the other elephant in the room.
Yeah.
There's 8 Ducatis on the grid.
That is so many Ducatis.
And one guy called Pecco Bagnaia who got 5 pole positions in a row on that Ducati.
Yeah.
If I was Pecco, I'd be feeling pretty freaking good. I'd be like, all right, yeah.
Well, not only that, but he needs to redeem himself after, like, he tried so hard to stay in and fight Fabio.
Yeah.
And then both him and Jack went down in, well, it was, which track was that?
It was Misano.
Misano, yeah.
Yeah, Jack nuked it first, and then Pecco nuked it later, because then you get, I think it was Gigi Dall'Igna. It was the reaction shot. He just like falls to his knees.
Yeah.
Both his factory riders crashed out. Like, that sucks.
And that, I mean, he's got so much to make up for after that whoopsie daisy, you know? Just so much.
Also, Mugello, he crashed out of Mugello in front of his home Italian crowd. It's like, you got to make some ground up. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think Pecco's going to be a big force. But it could, I don't know, because if you looked at the end of 2020, you would have sworn that Morbidelli would have been absolutely dangerous. But, he had the knee thing, and then he wasn't really there, wasn't fully fit. So
he also was on, like, a 2019 bike.
He was. He's on full factory now, and I hope he does cool stuff. But you never know. You never know. What if Joanne Mir finds something again?
I know. He could. He's one of those guys who I'm like, you can't discount him.
No.
He's one of my favorite guys to watch. As long as Suzuki can figure out qualifying,
yeah,
he's going to be dangerous.
Yeah, if he gets anywhere near the front row, he's always there. He's consistent.
Yep.
Some people are floating the idea that he might move to Honda.
That would be interesting.
It would.
But he's like Suzuki's golden boy right now.
He is. I also just feel like moving to Honda in this current climate, wait 2 to 3 more years to move to Honda.
Yeah.
Because there's still the Marquez program, and nobody can ride the fucking bike.
No.
Except Marc.
Yep.
And Marc is Marc, so it's like he can ride anything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I give yourself a little time before going to Honda. Paul learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
And I think he's probably like, maybe I should have stayed at KTM.
Yeah.
But I'm interested to see. There's a couple of guys whose heads are on the chopping block this season.
Mm-hmm.
Rins, Miller for sure. I mean, there's
with the Ducati talent pipeline and Jorge Martin, I personally can't see a future that Miller retains that seat.
No, I mean he's got to pull some serious stuff this season to stay in that seat. But there are some guys that it's going to be an interesting shakeup by the end of the season. I think.
I think so too. Yeah, well, we're both, Team Zarco for the championship, right?
Absolutely.
Zarco's
He's my dark horse.
I think if I had to pick a dark horse, it would probably be Morbidelli.
Probably,
As a factory Yamaha rider, the way he rides, who knows? You know what I mean? Who knows?
I just want to see the backflip. Come on, Zarco.
I want to see these rookies coming through, man. Raul Fernandez is a monster of a rider. He's on the Tech 3 team, so it's not the most competitive package, but I don't know.
Sometimes it's the rider that makes the bike, man.
Yeah, it's true. It's true. And then in 2023, Pedro Acosta is going to come through in GP. I can't wait to see that.
That's probably going to be game changing right there.
Yeah, that'll be like a Marquez moment. I was joking on the Track Days channel on Discord. I was like, he's going to win every race on a satellite bike from pit lane. As a handicap. But anyways, that's some GP news. Marc is back in action, going to be testing. Great news. Great to see it. Let's move on to the next topic.
Okay.
Because otherwise we'll talk GP all night, and we got to move on.
Which color orange do you want to talk about first?
I think, we talked about some fun stuff. Let's talk about Harley.
Oh, boy. All right. This is going to make me sad.
Okay. So Harley-Davidson, further, faster program, big launch, big reveal, big news, big engine.
Assuming big is code for small.
Yeah. This was kind of just like a milquetoast update, in my opinion. I didn't really think this was a big splashy thing. So why don't you tell the people what Harley-Davidson announced here?
Okay, so for those of you who don't know, Further Faster was this big premiere event. Harley-Davidson has been doing these for a while where they have these big, produced segments that they release and tease or show off models that are coming out, show all the new specs and paint and all that cool stuff. Mm-hmm. And 50% of it was bold new graphics.
Yeah, literally with the CVO stuff.
50% of it was Lowrider S and Lowrider ST, and then
you're at 100%.
Yeah, and then somewhere in between, they spent like 5 minutes on motor clothes.
Yeah,
which was really weird.
Yeah,
in their new motorcycle thing, which leads me to believe that they knew that this wasn't going to be like the big splashy announcement.
Yeah,
because no one cares about motor clothes.
No.
I mean, Harley-Davidson, the most successful t-shirt company in the world kind of joke. But
yeah.
Honestly, people are here to see the bikes.
Yep.
And the bikes that they showed were very underwhelming.
Right.
So let's talk a little bit. I think the CVOs, they're not our bikes.
They're not our bikes. They probably will never be our bikes.
No. So what are some of the numbers for these CVOs?
For price?
Yeah. So
oh my God, it was like $30,000, $40,000, $45,000 for this 2022 CVO Road Glide Limited.
Yeah.
$45,000. And then we were talking about how it's $50,000 for the CVO Tri-Glide. That's like nice pickup truck money.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's too much money to spend
too much money
on a motorcycle.
Too much.
But let's talk about the Lowrider ST, which is probably the thing that everybody's getting excited for.
Yeah.
This is for what it is. It's a nod to the West Coast style kind of Dynaboy clubbed out scene from the early 80s. And
which is having a resurgence right now.
Yeah, and it's okay. The bike looks cool. I admit that while it's not my bag, I think that
not your bag.
I think it looks good.
Sure.
It's
Harley makes a handsome product. You got to hand it to them.
It's a big muscly motorcycle, and I've always been a fan of the Lowrider S ever since they ripped off Jax Teller's ride from Sons of Anarchy.
Yeah.
I knew it was a cool looking motorcycle. But for this model year, what they've done is they've raised the shocks, they've updated where the dash is positioned, and then on the Lowrider ST, you've got bags, which are quick detach, and then you have a big fairing on the front that has a sound system in it. There's a couple of other changes. Big one is 114 to 117 CI, cubic inches.
Yeah.
Which bumps the torque from 114 foot-pounds to 125 with their heavy breather intake.
Yeah. That's what I'm not going to make that joke, but that's too easy.
And they bumped the price from $18,349 to $21,749.
So here's my question. Do you think that this is Harley Davidson's way of trying to create a more top of the funnel approach of getting people eventually into a CVO, right? Because like you think about it, I called it the baby bagger, right? I'm like, oh, this is like, if you obviously don't want to purchase a freaking $40,000 Road Glide, 800-pound monstrosity down the road, you can get this thing that's basically all the same stuff, right? Like except for the big windshield and all that, but it's like, you can definitely tour on this thing, and it's got performance chops. It's a bit of like Harley's take on a sport touring bike,
which I think is where the ST comes in.
Totally.
It's either like Super Tour or Sport Tour or something like that. So here's the only thing I have to counter that. Harley Davidson, like you go and look at Laidlaw Harley, and they're the big Harley YouTube channel. It's this dealership out in LA.
Right.
Laidlaw Harley is one of the biggest Harley dealers out there. They have a video where they're like talking about the different frames and which frames are for what use. And even these guys running a dealership are like, if you want to tour, you need the touring frame. And I'm like, it's 700 pounds, guys.
Yeah, like what do you? I don't understand that.
Like
why do they think you need the frame to do that? I think you just need a windshield and cruise control.
Yeah, I mean the thing that drives me up a wall is the Harley guys do not consider these bikes to be bikes with legs. They just don't, and I don't get it.
It's got 125 foot-pounds of torque. It weighs like 700 pounds or some shit, right? It's got bags. What am I missing?
I don't know. I was talking to some guys because I was like, back in the day before I got the SMCR, I was looking at a Sportster. I also saw a Dyna that was pretty cool.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm thinking about getting one of these big Harleys, and I can cruise on it, go comfortable, hit the road. And somebody on a Dyna that I was sitting next to straight up told me, nah, dude, you can't tour on a Dyna. And I was like, why not? And he's like, it's too small for you. And I'm like, dude. Wait,
too small for you?
How is that possible? Like, really? I don't understand where the Harley people position this motorcycle. I thought it was like the light cruiser, the light tourer. And specifically, they're talking about people like riding this to Sturgis or Daytona Bike Week in the video. But it seems like Harley World doesn't think that this is a touring motorcycle, which is odd to me, because if we had it in here, it would be like touring bike.
Totally. Like, this is just like, oh, long distance, especially with the bags and the audio system and all that stuff. Like, I don't understand why that's not a touring bike. I guess because they put upside down suspension on it. It's on 17s, and they made it more quote unquote performance. They're like, well, this is a sport bike now. You can't tour on a sport bike. It's like, guys, come on. Like, you could quote unquote tour on a V-Strom 650, right? Like, totally adequate.
Yeah.
Personally for me, it just makes me feel like if the Harley guys feel like you can't tour on it, it's like, it's kind of like a, kind of a baby. You know what I mean? Like, really, you can't tour on this bike? Seriously? Why?
I mean, I just don't understand why. I just don't understand why people have this idea that these Harleys, like even the Harley people are like, you need this particular motorcycle to go do this thing. Mm-hmm. And it's like, no. I mean, they're trying to make a touring bike here. They're trying to make a middle of the road touring bike that people who can't afford a CVO can afford. Maybe
that's what their internal research suggested, where it's like, okay, the average younger buyer who would like a Harley obviously cannot afford our product and needs to own just one motorcycle. So why don't we give them a sport touring option where, you know, they had the whole Kyle Wyman and the King of the Baggers and all that stuff, which we can talk a little bit about too. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, this Lowrider S with the ST package has enough performance chops to be enjoyed in the canyons. You can tour with it. You can maybe hit up a track day if you're fucking crazy. You know, you can do a lot with this bike, and maybe that they're trying to position a jack of all trades bike to sell to people. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's it.
Yeah. And honestly, with the Lowrider platform, it would be the one that I would buy. The Lowrider is the Fat Bob is cool. I really like it. I think it's my favorite looking, but if I was going to put my money where my mouth is, I'd probably get the Lowrider.
Does the Lowrider and the Fat Bob have the same frame?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't understand why everyone tells me I need to ride the Lowrider, so I understand the Harley. It's going to feel exactly the same.
It's going to feel the same, yeah.
Yeah, okay, just making sure.
Yeah, no, it's...
just making sure.
The only difference is the Lowrider is slightly more raked out than the Fat Bob is. It's like... It's the most Dyna of the new Softails. The most traditional, I suppose. And now we have to ride it because it's the 117. This is the engine that's gonna make you like Harley.
Yeah, at this point, man, I think nothing's gonna make me like Harley. Maybe if I ride the Pan America, but other than that, I'm like, I don't get it.
Yeah, I mean, even I'm sitting here as a diehard Harley apologist, and I'm like, guys, you have so much more potential than this.
Yeah,
it's like they came out with the Pan America and the sports dress, and they heard some YouTube commenter being like, not my Harley. And they were like, no,
come back, careful. Speaking of not my Harley, the other thing that we saw in this press release was the Kyle Wyman, King of the Baggers news, all that stuff, where they're basically being like, you know, they use the word performance bagger a whole lot. They're like, performance bagger, blah, blah, blah. And I personally don't know what the hell that means. Because those two words, they're oxymoronic to me.
Yes.
I'm like, those two words don't belong in the same sentence together. But apparently, there are people who are trying to make their baggers performance-oriented. I mean, these are the touring bikes. These are the big frame bikes, right?
Yeah, these are the touring frame motorcycles.
These are touring frame bikes. And to me, it is laughable to think that somebody thinks that they're going to put Öhlins on a road glide and be like, I can go hit up a track day now. It's like, that doesn't make any goddamn sense.
No.
As I was telling you earlier, I was at the AIM Expo last week. I saw King of the Baggers bike in person. The amount of stuff done to that thing to make it work is bananas.
I can only imagine.
It looks like a sport bike, but like just with weird Harley fairings for some reason. You know, you're like, what's underneath there? What's going on? You know what I mean? What's the deal? The guy told me it was making 165 foot-pounds of torque though, and that's a juicy amount of power.
That's a lot of power.
Yeah.
But then they like had a lot of DNFs because it was exploding.
Yeah. Yeah. The King of the Bagger series is cool because it raises awareness for Harley, but kind of like what you were saying earlier, where it's like, it's a little embarrassing you had to make your own category for racing to go racing.
Yeah.
Kind of lame.
I really think if Harley wants to buy that or get that new generation of riders to buy HD, they need to make a motorcycle and go racing in an established category. And maybe they don't even need to win a bunch of races. They just need to show up.
Go get Eric Buell.
Bring him
back.
He's too busy making electric bikes now.
Yeah.
Buy the Hammerhead. Buy the rights to the Buell Hammerhead.
Yeah.
Buell is no longer attached to Buell. Just buy that and sell it on a Harley floor with a bunch of badges all over it.
Yeah.
That works.
Yeah.
I mean, the Hammerhead's supposed to come out this year. They're taking pre-orders.
The problem is Superbike World moves so fast. The Hammerhead kind of looks like in like a 1299 Panigale at this point. We're like, okay, we're all on V4s now, and we're all making 217 horsepower, and we have super advanced electronics. You're now outdated. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. So it's just crazy how it goes. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's cool that Harley Davidson is doing, you know, updates to their model line. But we hope to see a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm thoroughly disappointed by this one. It was a bit of a letdown.
Yeah.
I had worked my hopes up.
Yep.
But, oh well.
Let's move on to the last bit of news, shall we? It's from KTM and Brabus, right?
Yes, so KTM and Brabus are now working together on some crazy tuned-up motorcycles, apparently.
Okay.
So Brabus is...
Oh, that's what this thing is. A lot of people thought that this was the Norden 1301.
Nope.
And I was like, that's not going to happen.
No, it looks more like a scrunched-up Diavel.
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
So this is the Brabus 1300R. And they're basically a custom tuning manufacturer out of Germany. They're big in cars.
Yep. Yeah.
High performance cars. And now they're breaking into bikes, which is kind of cool. So they're saying that the Brabus 1300R is basically based on a Super Duke. And they're saying unchanged performance at 117 horsepower.
177.
And 103 foot-pounds of torque. Which is odd to me. Why are you trying to... Like, if you're the super performance guys... Wouldn't you want to do something crazy, like supercharge it?
Slap a turbo on it.
Yeah, do something wild.
Yeah. That is weird. Yeah, you'd think you'd want... I mean, for most of those high-end cars, they'll be like, oh, it makes freaking 800 horsepower now instead of 600. And you're like, okay, I got 200 more horsepower.
Yeah.
Granted, the architecture for a bike doesn't really... It's not easy to do that kind of big power increase without going forced induction. But
screw it, go forced induction.
Yeah, why not? You're a literal one-off custom make. Why not? Make a supercharged Super Duke, the Super Duke.
What would that be? That would be the Giga Duke.
The Giga Duke, yeah, the Mega Duke.
That would be freaking bananas. But so let's take a look at this spy shot here and see what we can clock. Obviously, that's that LC8.
LC8.
And no one loved it.
The piping is the same. I mean, everything looks about the same. This looks like a styling exercise, really.
Yeah. And this looks like the tail section off the 2015.
Yeah.
Right there. Different headlight, some slightly different plastics, less orange, which means it's slower. I don't know. This doesn't like pull at my heartstrings.
Yeah, it's missing that like super hard-nosed edge that the Super Duke has, where it's like, I'm zany, but I have a 1301cc V-twin, so I can be zany.
Yeah. Like it's like trying to soften the edges on a motorcycle that's all edge.
Yeah.
No point.
Yeah.
So, I don't know.
So I saw some other specs further down this article was saying that the bars are a little bit narrower, right? The rear end is straight from a Super Duke Double R. Carbon fiber subframe. WP Apex suspension is the same as the Super Duke R Evo, which is a really wild bike. I don't know if you've seen that one.
Yep.
That one's insane. But yeah, some people, it's saying here that there was some speculation that the spy shots would be the new Husqvarna Vitpillen 1301. But yeah, it doesn't really add up to be a Husqvarna.
Why would you... Okay. 103 foot-pounds of torque.
Yep.
What do you not want to do to that motorcycle? Shorten the wheelbase. And they've shortened the wheelbase. Why?
More wheelies. As if it needed any help doing wheelies.
Why would you shorten the wheelbase on that bike? If anything, make it longer so it can like keep the wheel down.
Yeah.
And like just whoop ass in a straight line.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have been interesting if they made like some sort of muscle cruiser type of thing, like a Diavel type of bike with that engine, because that feels like it'd be a no-brainer. That'd be like exactly what you'd want to do with it.
That's the thing, is this just feels like a slightly different Super Duke.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like KTM was like, all right, you can make something with this motorcycle, but don't make it too different because it's the Super Duke.
Yeah, because I feel like KTM is like, is that the bike is perfect?
Yeah.
Don't touch.
It's I don't know. It's not doing anything for me.
Yeah, it's a cool collaboration, and maybe we'll see more manufacturers doing stuff like this in the future, like, with their top-of-the-line bikes, bringing on, like, custom one-off guys to make special editions and stuff. But if they're all just going to be light styling exercises and light little changes like this, like, not really much of a point.
This is something that actually Harley was saying in their Further Faster, where they're like, this color's really hopping the car scene right now. And I'm like, we come to motorcycles for motorcycles, not cars.
Yeah.
Car guys, go away.
Go away.
Motorcycles are not for you. They're not about you. Motorcycles are allowed to be their own thing that are just like wild.
It reminds me, on one of the Turbo Busa videos, there was some car guy that popped in and he's like, yeah, man, totally know what this feels like. I've got a 600 horsepower Supra and I'm like, no, you don't know what this feels like. You don't understand what it, no.
You don't know what it feels like to be on a motorcycle where the speedo climbs faster than the tack.
Yeah, you don't get it. You don't understand. Not to say that, all cars are slow and all that, but, to feel that kind of visceral feeling that a bike gives you, you gotta have a really fast car.
Yeah.
Really fast. Like, I remember one of my buddy's friends had a Dodge Hellcat, and I got to sit in it, and like we pulled off on the highway and he floored it, and I was really just kind of like, it wasn't impressive at all. Like, I was like, this kind of feels like an MT-09 or something. I was like, okay. I was like, I've been on an R1. I was like, I don't care,
I occasionally will get some people just like, they'll show me a car, or we have guys at bike night to talk about these really crazy cars.
Yeah.
And I'm like, none of this is even remotely interesting. Yeah. I don't care even a little bit.
No.
I can't force myself to care about cars anymore. They're just, bikes are so much better.
Bikes are a lot better, yeah. There are some cars, if they're like some crazy one-off builds, I'll kind of, dabble in or get interested in. But these days, I view them all as appliances. Mm-hmm. Like, my truck is just, it's an appliance to me. I don't really think of it as like a cool thing I want to modify or do stuff to. I'm like, it needs to work every time I get in it and keep me comfortable. That's all it needs to do.
Gets you to point A from point B with air-conditioned seats and a cool steering wheel, and that's it.
And a bike in the back.
Yep.
That's what it's supposed to do. Yeah. But that's going to be the news for this week before we just keep talking shit about car guys. And now let's move on to the fanfic, shall we? Chapter 2.
Here we go.
Here we go, baby. Alrighty, folks. Welcome to a special segment of the Yamcast. This is Chapter 2 of the fanfic. If you don't know, this is something I promised a Discord user called Millennial Malace that I would read all of his fanfic that he wrote for the Yamcast 69 million subscriber mark, all that stuff. And I keep my promises,
Unfortunately, here we go.
Yeah. This is Chapter 2 of the Yami Noob fanfic. Yoda Taco Noodle Bar possessed none of the tranquil quaintness of the common depictions of noodle spots in anime. A scene of joyful mayhem, all fueled by a small window slinging steams bowls of ramen, udon, and free-flowing sake. The clatter of pans, rhythmic chopping, and shouting chefs did battle with the boisterous din of the patrons for dominance of the restaurant. I know it can be crazy at times, but trust me, there's a reason all the locals come here, said a small but confident boy, eagerly sliding uninvited next to Suki in the booth. He was no taller than 5'6", with a short, buzzed dark hair that stood unnervingly on end. This is Josh, Suki claimed, trying to make herself heard over the cacophony of the regulars. Sorry for not introducing myself, but I wanted to make sure I got over here to say hi to Suki's friend before I got another delivery. Nice to meet you, said Josh. I have a feeling I'll be seeing you here again soon. Ding! With the ring of a bell, Josh catapulted out of the booth, snatched a box order from the window, and dashed out the door. No later than 30 seconds, the whine of Josh's prized SV650 was slowly fading into the canyon with a box of piping hot noodles strapped to the back. I like that he's like an initial D character.
Mm-hmm.
Going down the canyons. Still recovering from Josh's sudden exit, Yami moved silently over in the booth as another visitor squeezed her way in. I honestly think he keeps lap times. There's no way someone gets that excited to deliver noodles, said the new visitor remarked, mildly entertained by Josh's sudden exit. The name's Whitney. Pleasure. Whitney at a glance seemed to be the polar opposite of Josh. Tall, a deeper voice timbre, and a calm, mature aura. So nothing like Whitney in real life. No, I'm just kidding. In further contrast, the surface is reconnecting. I can still read it. I hope it doesn't crash. In further contrast, Whitney's fashion had more in common with a contemporary American style than Japanese. Cotton skirts were replaced by black denim jeans, a red flannel in place of collared blouse, and a distinctive black beanie hat complemented Whitney's look. Yammy's scrutinizing was quickly interrupted by a barrage of plate after plate of steaming noodles. Udon, ramen, and soba, prepared in a staggering array of styles, steamed out of the kitchen and onto their table. "Make sure you try the buckwheat soba. It's my favorite," stated Suki, deftly maneuvering the multitude of plates and bowls. An exuberant itadakimasu, I don't know my Japanese, guys, broke Yammy's food-induced daze as the waiter gestured for the trio to enjoy their meal. They must have made quite the spectacle, Yammy mused to herself, as the trio crushed dish after dish of every noodle combination imaginable. Conversation topics flowed effortlessly, with apprehensions giving way to warm familiarity. Suki, despite her shy, innocent appearance, was quite the colorful conversationalist and had a particularly detail-rich and profanity-laced way of getting her point across. Whitney, on the other hand, was less animated but equally as entertaining, with quirky mannerisms and analogies in place of Suki's raw energy. It was exactly 2 hours and 13 minutes into dinner when the last drinks came and Whitney finally asked the question that Yammy-chan had been hoping would never come. "Are you dating or have your eye on anyone cute?" Whitney asked nonchalantly, her hand swirling the highball glass, entirely unaware of her bombshell question's effect. Yammy could feel the heat build in her cheeks as she slowly slumped deeper into her booth. I don't like where this is going. Is there something wrong? You got quiet all of a sudden, remarked a concerned Suki. I'm starting to feel sick, and probably all the noodles we ate, Yammy-chan feigned. "I can ask the waiter for a check and we can get you home," offered Whitney, trying to make things better with her new friend. "I think that would probably be a good idea," Suki responded quickly, helping Yammy-chan get her coat. Outside the restaurant, a soft rain had begun to fall as Yammy tightened the straps to the spare helmet and mounted the pillion of Suki's Super Cub. The winding road back to the academy was slowly becoming more familiar as Suki deftly maneuvered the little bike through the canyon. Yammy couldn't tell if it was the vibrations of the little 125cc engine or if she could actually feel Suki's heartbeat through her dress. Corner after corner, the weight of her conscience grew heavier, but strangely, her grip around Suki tightened. As the Super Cup finally came to a stop, Yammy knew that she couldn't lie to her new friends. Moving to Japan had given her a chance to escape some of the pitfalls in her life in Texas and build some new bonds, but this also means that she had to do the right thing and tell the truth. Immediately after the engine came to a stop and the kickstand deployed, Yammy-chan erupted with a flurry of emotional apologies. "I'm so deeply sorry. I didn't mean to lie. I just wanted to change the topic. I never..." Yammy-chan babbled. Suki grabbed Yammy's shoulders firmly. "Please, just breathe for a bit." Yammy-chan took a few beats. Suki gave time to compose herself. "I lied to you and Whitney just so I could avoid embarrassment and leave." Surface almost crashed. Okay, we're good. "I had a really good time. I did. I just didn't want to talk about it." "I see," replied Suki in an understanding tone. "You don't have to tell me anything if it's too uncomfortable." This had been the one outcome Yammy-chan hadn't anticipated. She could deal with angry outbursts, the silent treatment, or a quick "I forgive you." There was something about her new roommate that was so incredibly disarming. The youthful exuberance and innocent appearances were a facade for deep empathy and emotional understanding beyond her years. A part of her still reminded Yammy that this was a girl that she had only recently met, and that if she couldn't confide in people in Texas, why trust the people in New Life in Japan? Weird sentence. As it began, Yammy-chan quickly stopped the self-dialogue of doubt. She had done many things that were scary in her life: riding a motorcycle, applying to prestigious schools, and moving to a new country. At this point, she had to be brave, for herself, for her new life. When Whitney asked that question, I was pretty unprepared, and to be perfectly honest, pretty embarrassed. I haven't ever been in a relationship with anyone before. Most of my peers in Texas had boyfriends since they were 16, Yammy admitted. There's nothing really to be ashamed about here. People tend to take things a bit slower here. It's not entirely uncommon for people to put off relationships till they finish their studies, said Suki, trying her best to be comforting. I understand being ashamed of things that you were made to feel shame about. It doesn't mean you were any less of a person or even wrong about things. But try to be honest with me, even if it's hard, and I'll accept you regardless. Suki ended her reassurance with a meaningful hug. I feel much better. Thanks for forgiving me, and still wanting to be my friend. I know I probably don't deserve it, said Yammy, still in Suki's embrace. I needed to tell you the entire truth, and please don't run. You're the only person I've ever told, but I like girls, and I've always liked them. Oh, a twist for Yammy-chan there. This is kind of more wholesome than I expected.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like about understanding and, accepting yourself and all those sort of things. Maybe Millennial Malaise is playing a bit of a bait and switch on us. It's actually going to be wholesome all the way through and no weird shit's going to happen.
I was expecting it to just be like, just chapters full of just disgustingly detailed.
And things we can't post on YouTube and can only exist on the stream.
It'd just be like 5 minutes of the bleep sound effect.
Yeah, so we've been introduced now to Josh, who is a very fast noodle delivery driver, Whitney, who we didn't get too much background on, and now we know that Yami-chan is actually into girls, which is interesting for her and probably something she's never told anyone before. We're learning more things about the plot here. That was Chapter 2 of the fanfic. Thank you, Millennial Malaise. We do appreciate it. And now let's move on to the DM section.
The DM section.
Alrighty, boys. Welcome to the DM portion of the podcast. This is where we put out a topic or a question. We have all of our Discord members send Spite a DM, and we will discuss them and talk about them and look them over. If you don't know how this works, if you sign up over on yaminoob.co, you can become a member of our Discord server, and then you can join these live streams as they happen, which is about a week before they come out on YouTube. It's a great time. It's a great way to support what we do. I'm on the Discord every day, always hanging out with some folks, and it's a ton of fun. So today, our topic is how you got started with motorcycling, right? Or why you started riding, something like that?
Yep. Basically just chatting about the beginnings, what inspired you.
What inspired you? Yeah, riding. So we're not necessarily doing like, what was your first bike and how'd that go? But we're doing like, why did you start riding? Like, what was it about motorcycling that made you want to really get into it? And I know you have a very inspirational story, Spite. So why don't you tell the people your great journey with why you wanted to ride bikes?
So I decided to get a motorcycle because I was paying $300 a month for a parking spot downtown, and a motorcycle was $150 cheaper a month. Straight up, that is why I got a motorcycle.
Wow, so inspiring.
Yep.
Really, really magical, even one would say.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty amazing.
And then fast forward 5 years, and I'm telling people on YouTube that this lame story. So
yep, it's been more than 5 years.
6 years, I think.
6 years, something like that. Yeah.
How about you?
Why did I start riding? Honestly, I was always just like a gotta go fast boy, and I was once a gotta go fast boy on a budget, and I was like, damn, bikes are cheap as hell, they go fast as hell, this is good. I think I want to do this.
The Venn diagrams overlap.
That was it. That was honestly it. I was like, I knew they'd be fun, and I knew I wanted to go fast, and that was literally it. Little did I know that there was all kinds of cool stuff with motorcycling that could be explored and, understood, and all kinds of fun little subcategories and niches, and it's been the most wonderful thing to happen in my life. There's so many cool things with motorcycles that I didn't even know about when I started, because I was a degenerate squid who just wanted to go fast.
Yeah, I was the kind of guy who saw Harleys and crotch rockets, and now I have a supermoto, and I'm trying to get a KLR 650, so the paths less traveled, I suppose. I suppose
so. But now let's move over to the Discord, and let's figure out why people started riding for themselves.
So first up, we got Wyatt.
All right, Wyatt here says, I started riding on the back of my dad's 84 Harley when I was a wee squid. A few years later, I was raising hell in the neighborhood on my XR70R, and ever since that went away, I wanted another bike. It's just always been a part of my life, and it just feels right. I am so jealous of people who have this story. So jealous that either their parents rode or they had a little bike when they were a kid. Would have killed to have a bike. I wanted a bike ever since I was like 15 years old. Mm-hmm. And my dad was like, if you own a bike, you have to go live somewhere else. You can't own a bike and live under my roof. Mm-hmm. And I was like, fair enough. I will wait.
Yep.
So I just kept it on the back burner and just waited. But yeah, imagine you have like a little pocket rocket dirt bike or something like that.
That would have been so cool.
Would have been so cool.
My back in the day, we used to spend summers in a small town in North Carolina with a ton of land. It would have been perfect for goofing around on a little XR70R.
Yeah,
but
you could have had the child killer, the KX85 two-stroke.
Yup. More likely, actually, out there, it wasn't motorcycles. It was those Honda three-wheelers.
Oh yeah, those are genuinely dangerous.
Those death trap three-wheelers from back in the day.
Yeah.
Those were a lot out there. Next up, we've got Just Jack. Holy cow.
All right, Just Jack wrote us a bit of a long one. Let's see. How did I get into riding? Well, I was into skating and sports as a kid, but never thought about motorcycles. Figured they were too expensive for me, too cool for me, and that I'll not be responsible or talented enough to ride. Well, in my late 20s, my little brother by 3 years, who is an 80-year-old man in a 20-something's body, started riding. He's had many bikes, but he's a BMW guy at heart and a GS 1200 long way round guy specifically. But I figured if he can ride, then I can. He taught me on his 97 650 DR, and he said that he'd sell it to me after I got my license through the MSF. Long story short, did that, got the bike in November, and wrecked it on a patch of ice in December. 3 years after that, I have paid off my medical bills, fixed the DR, and picked up a Jigsaw 750, and love everything about motorcycling. I love riding, practicing, reading, and watching content, and learning as much as I can. And you guys have greatly helped me with that. Thank you, I appreciate that. Weather being what it is, I haven't ridden in over 3 weeks, and I'm getting stir crazy. But thankfully, even though I can't ride, I get to come home and sort of scratch that motorcycle list via you guys. Thank you so much. Well, I appreciate that. I'm trying to feel out the kernel of there's quite a few things in there to pick out. Yeah, some people get started later in their 20s. Some people get started even in their 40s, you know? Some people get started way later in life, and, you know, I feel like whenever you get to motorcycling, it always feels like it wasn't early enough.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, you always feel like if only I started a few years sooner.
Yeah.
If only I could have found that racing program when I was a kid.
Then I could have beat Marc. Sure, you could have. Yeah.
Next up, we got Squid Ceviche.
Squid Ceviche here. Greetings, gentle squids. I started riding out of necessity, to be honest. Back in the days, I was living in South America, where some countries, as probably Yami would know, have the worst traffic you could possibly imagine, so commuting or even going to the grocery store was a challenge in and of itself. That's when I decided to sell my car and buy a Chinese Suzuki GN knockoff, Longchin Eagle 150 to be precise. Wretched, but proved to be reliable. That way I could tackle the standstill traffic on the freeway and get to work in a timely manner. Not to mention the savings on gas this little bike provided, approximately 65 mpg. Next thing you know, I was learning how to lane split at 50 miles per hour on the freeway and having the itch of wanting more of this crazy world we know and love. So it's kind of similar to you, out of necessity, out of desire, and that's something we don't mention much here on the channel because we're so American focused, because we are Americans, is that a lot of people just ride because they need to ride. They just need to get to somewhere A to B. They have a scooter, doesn't matter, like appliance, total
it's
appliance.
Cheap and efficient.
Yep, cheap and efficient. That's why a lot of people ride in other parts of the world.
Next up, we've got X2.
X2 says, I've always had the need for speed in my life. Same. I loved cards and wanted a Miata ND to go canyon carving, but they're so expensive. I went mountain biking with a friend, and he mentioned wanting a motorcycle, and that got me thinking about how motorcycles provide the same joy of going fast for much less. X2 and I, kinship there, you know? I decided I would learn to ride. This was in June of 2020, got my MSF and license September 2020, and now I'm fully a bike boy. I have no car at all. I want a cargo truck to take the KLX trails and the Vitpillen to track days more often, but no desire for that ND Miata anymore. I almost feel like there's probably so many motorcyclists who are like born again car people, you know what I mean? Where there's like, yeah, I wanted a car, but then I started riding bikes, and it's like, didn't really care about cars ever again, you know?
Yeah, I still pine every now and again for an old 70s muscle car, and then I'm like, wait a minute. No, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah, totally fine.
You can they're so much more fun.
They are more fun.
Next up is Matthew.
Matthew here says, my dad, uncle, and grandpa all rode motorcycles at some point, but my first experience was riding my uncle's old Trail 90, and I fell in love with it. I bought a bike as an adult after additional inspiration from the Yami Noob channel. Don't have a bike at the moment, but spend every day waiting for my next one. That's awesome. How many people do you think started on Trail 90s, man? Like, goddamn. Little Honda trail bikes? Probably millions.
I mean, the Honda just prints stuff like that out. There's thousands of them. You could probably go out in the hills and find a couple hundred of those style motorcycles just sitting in some garage. Yeah. With, a million miles sitting on the clock.
Yeah. I like the intergenerational kind of riders there. Dad, uncle, grandpa, all riding. That's cool.
Yep.
I am the only person in my family that rides motorcycles that I know of.
So my dad rode back in the day. He had a BMW R90S. And then he was riding in Chicago, and he was like, I'm not doing this anymore. So he sold it.
That was like my dad. He had an RD350, and he had a big crash and scare, and he was like, I'm done doing that. I feel like you and I just broke, and we're like, no, we want more. Yeah, no, this is good. Yeah. Life is really short. This is good.
SWS Zipper is next.
SWS Zipper says, so for me, what inspired was kind of corny. I saw Top Gun when I was a teenager, and the scenes where Tom Cruise was riding the bike made me yearn to feel the freedom. I got to ride on some friends' dirt bikes, got the bug, rode dirty for some years, and recently decided to take my MSF and go legal. That's great. I know a lot of guys who do that, man, especially because the laws here are so lax where they're just like, I know how to ride. I'll just ride without a license. It's like, you should really get the license, because if you get pulled over with a license, it's going to be a bad time.
Half the people in my MSF course were all taking it because they had to.
Yeah.
Because they had, some conviction for driving without a license.
Also, Top Gun has probably inspired so many people.
Oh, yeah.
So many people.
I mean, it's the reason the Ninja still exists.
Yeah.
That and the GPZ was just a really awesome motorcycle.
I still remember watching T2 as a kid and seeing Arnold Schwarzenegger on the Harley, on the Fat Bob.
Fat Boy.
The Fat Boy, yeah. And I was like, damn, that's cool as
Yep. Vince82.
Vince82 says, why I started riding. One day I was waiting for the bus and a guy passed by on a 916 whipping a big-ass wheelie. I thought to myself, I need more emotions in my life. I either buy a bike or find a girlfriend. I got the girlfriend. A few years later, I get dumped, slumped for a few months, and then went, it, I'll buy that bike. But I have had a moped since I was 14, so this is about my first real bike, which is the one in the story above. I would wager to say that people doing wheelies on the highways have inspired many people to start riding.
Yep.
Josh was telling me that when he was a kid, he was in the back of his family car, and some guy's just ripping a wheelie on the highway. And all his parents were like, oh my God, that's so crazy. But he was like, yeah, yeah. So that's why anytime I see kids, I try to do a wheelie. Mm-hmm. Even if it's a bad wheelie, I'd get the front wheel up just to show them, So when
we had rented that Fat Bob a while back, and I was getting gas in my neighborhood, and this woman comes around the gas pump, and she's looking at the bike, and she's like, and I can't hear her because I have my helmet on and all that stuff, and I can see her trying to talk to me, and she's like, I take my helmet off, and I'm like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, when you leave, can you rev the bike? Because my kid's in the car, and she really likes motorcycles.
Nice.
And I was like, just bring her out. She can turn the throttle.
Yeah.
So I was like, I don't care. Just let her pull the throttle for a bit.
Yeah.
And yeah, she pulled the kid out, and we showed her how to do the throttle thing. And I was like, I mean, maybe a motorcyclist was born then.
Honestly, probably.
Because that's sort of thing is so cool.
Yeah. It's really cool because, like, for us, it's just because we're grown-ass adults. Like, for us, I'm like, some day I was at the gas station, I let some kid rev my bike. That was probably, like, life-changing for that kid,
Yeah.
Like, he was like, holy that was the day I got to, like, touch a motorcycle, and then got to, like, play with it. Yeah.
Yeah. Next up, we got Crazy Jimmy.
Crazy Jimmy says, I kind of always wanted to ride, but I never really gave it serious thought until last year. I decided to get on YouTube and look up motorcycles for beginners. Naturally, I ran into your channel. Look at YouTube, doing the Lord's work. I spent the whole year last year saving and researching the best bike for me. My wife just had our second kid in November, so I had to wait for our baby girl to get here before I could spend the money on a bike. I'm glad I waited this long. At first, I was convinced I wanted a CB500F. I ended up getting a used 2018 SV650. Which is like $1,500 less than a new CB500F and 1,000 times better in every way. Yes, it is. Yes. So basically, you guys are responsible for getting me on two wheels. I always thought it would be therapeutic to be in the open air on a bike. It definitely makes you forget about the stress of the work week. That's really crazy, too, for me to think about how many people we've inspired through the channel, man. Like, like we were talking about, like, the little girl at the gas station, but, like, every day we probably inspire people because literally millions of people watch the channel every month, which is bonkers. But
And it's crazy to think, because sometimes it's just like, we're just talking to a camera, but no, there's other people on the other side of that, like, the Goldwing video.
Yeah.
So crazy. So many people saw that in such a short period of time.
It's pretty nuts.
Next up, we got Hamraz BB.
Hamraz BB says, movies got me into wanting to have a bike. Two in particular, Mad Max and The Matrix 2, completely different, but God, those KZ1000s and the Choice Green 996. That Matrix 996 is so sweet.
That's probably one of the seeds that planted a motorcycle in my brain at one point, was that 996. Watching that chase in The Matrix 2 is incredible.
Yeah, it's so cool.
And it's just such a sweet bike.
It is pretty sweet.
Not That Nate is next.
Not That Nate says, I just wanted a bike. Never knew why, but it definitely didn't get the women folk to pay any more attention to me like 17-year-old me thought it would. Yeah, that's fair.
I always kind of appreciate the people who are just like, no, I wanted it.
Yeah, that is pretty sweet. But there's also those kind of people that go there and buy like a Gixxer 1000. There's like, I just want a fast thing. And it's like, oh, hold on a sec. Hold on a minute.
Like the guys who buy the Ducati, ride it once, and then try to sell it later.
Yeah, they're like, I don't have time for it. I'm like, sure.
Next up, we got Infernal Saxon.
Started my riding journey watching motovloggers like Jake the Garden Snake, M13, and Yami. The feeling of moving through space without a cage is a feeling I refuse to give up now. Yeah, I honestly think motovlogging, to provide that immersive POV experience for people, was really cool. Mm-hmm. I know for me it was. In like 2013, I remember watching Riding with Tom out in Australia, and I think he had a ZX6 at the time. And I could really feel like I was on the bike. I was like, man, that looks so sweet. I was like, it looks even sweeter than I thought it would, you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, doing that more immersive way is really cool.
We just got to get the 360 camera going, then people can watch it in their VR headsets.
Yeah.
Next up, Ride Red, Bleed Blue.
Ride Red, Bleed Blue says, performance per dollars plus cheaper front row parking at university. Friends' dad did have a Yamaha shop growing up. Family very against it. Our dads are friends and did dumb stuff growing up on dirt bikes. I always wanted to ride but decided to go for it as an adult for reasons above. Yeah, I think a lot of people have many stories of just doing dumb stuff as a teenager and young adult on dirt bikes.
Yep.
Yeah.
They
elicit very bad behavior. I don't know what it is about dirt bikes, but you don't want to follow any rules when you're on them.
They're so light. They make so much power. They're like a toy.
They are a toy.
But they make 50 horsepower and weigh 200 pounds.
Yeah. And if you wheelie it without a helmet and loop, you're going to have a very bad day.
Mm-hmm. Next up, we got Hartman Foscari.
They say, my wife is what got me into motorcycles. Interesting. I was always interested, but after realizing we got to enjoy life and not just be sticklers, so I decided to buy a motorcycle. Yes, that's a bad plan. Before my MSF, so I bought my CTX 700. On a side note, Yami, get a real computer. By the way, that was back in 2020 when I was 31. That's quite late to start motorcycling.
Yeah.
Interesting first bike choice. Very practical-minded CTX 700, you know?
Yep.
Computer-focused.
That's a very utilitarian motorcycle.
Very utilitarian. So to you, I say, because you dogged on my computer, get a real bike. Nah, I'm just kidding. CTX is fine.
Got Game 76 is next.
They say, I rode pillion as a kid on my dad's 01 Sportster, but he did not ride much and also rode many hours with a mentor named Joe on his Ducati Multistrada all over SoCal. Then for my high school graduation present, Joe gifted me my MSF course, and I began my squid career at 18. I then bought a 2015 KTM RC390 and have ridden it as much as I can all over SoCal. I have now taken it to the track at Button Willow Raceway here in SoCal and cannot wait to go back. Being only 20, I eagerly wait my entire riding career ahead of me. That's awesome to start that young and to be already doing track days.
Yep.
You'll be way ahead of the game if you want to get into club racing and doing that stuff, because a lot of guys start when they're like 38, you know? They're just like, I'm going to be a racer because I have money. And it's like, no, that's a weird thing. That's delusional.
They're the ones that end up looping their R1s off the line because it's got launch control, man.
Yeah, but then they just go race prep another one. You're like, all right, whatever. Whatever.
Next up, we got Honaha Yamada.
Honaha Yamada says, saw dudes, I started motorcycling as a way to save money for about a year. It worked. Even with gear and buying a 2002 V-Star 650, it was a lot cheaper, but then I realized something. I was slowly getting more and more into motorcycles, and even though I'm still broke, I'm rebuilding and making a 1985 Honda Sabre VF 1100 V65 my own, and hopefully getting another bike this year. Now I'm way too into motorcycles to add to my too many hobbies, but I still love it. Yeah, I think a lot of guys who ride motorcycles have a lot of hobbies, but motorcycling is usually the big one, you know? Yeah.
And no matter if you're a motorcyclist and you're like, why am I always like looking at my account and just seeing a bunch of like red numbers? It's just because you have a motorcycle. That's just how it works.
Yeah. Didn't your girlfriend say something about you needed to find a cheaper hobby?
Yeah, because I got
getting into
guitars,
yeah.
And I got gaming and I've got motorcycles, and it's just like, it's a rabbit hole, man.
Yeah, they're all rabbit holes. Especially any hobby you can just keep buying more like gadgets and gear for.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
I had to walk past the Rev G3 pedal sitting at Guitar Center today when I went to get the fret polish, and I was like, no! Biscotti Boy, 620.
All right, he says, for tonight's Yamcast, I had just gotten out of a relationship, was in a weird spot in life. Bikes had always scared me, been a car guy my whole life, but I decided, what the hell, why not? Took the MSF and was on a little 250 Suzuki Cruiser, cracking open the throttle in that little parking lot. Nothing had ever felt so freeing. A couple months later, I picked up my first bike, finished sprucing her up, and will be on the road soon. I think a lot of people get to that point too, where something happens in their life, either like a loved one dies, they get out of a relationship, or something not so great, and then they're just like, dude, you know what? Like, life's short. F it. I'm gonna go do this. And then they're like, oh, it wasn't even that bad.
Yeah,
like, this is great.
I honestly think that more people need to go take the MSF just and giggles.
Yeah.
Like, it's just a weekend. Go have fun.
I was telling my dental hygienist to do that because I was telling her about bikes and motorcycling, what I do for a living, and she was like, oh, I really want to ride. I was like, just go take the MSF. She's like, what? I was like, yeah, it's like $200, weekend, go ride in a parking lot.
Go have fun.
Go ride a bike. She was like, oh my God. I was like, yeah, go do it.
Yeah. Everybody should just go take the MSF.
Yeah.
The Dr. Zero.
Dr. Zero says, I started riding because my dad was a legit Sons of Anarchy style biker back in the day, and I grew up around motorcycles. My dad got me my first bike at 8 years old. By the way, this is his hardtail shovelhead Harley that he's owned since the early 70s, and he toured the whole country with it. God dang, that's OG, bro.
Wow.
And then he wrote touring frame.
I mean,
that's cool because it's OG. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's an OG Harley.
If you're touring the country on a f***ing hardtail shovelhead, you're a real biker right
That's
there.
a real boy right there.
Mostly because his lower spine is completely fused from the vibration.
I was going to say, yeah. He can't bend over anymore.
Man, that would be wild, having like a 1%er in the family.
Pretty crazy.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Then imagine trying to not ride a Harley in that family.
Like,
you've been disowned, brother.
Magic Toaster is next.
Magic Toaster says, I wanted the feeling of speed again. I had a 600 horsepower GTO when I was in the Army, but it has been 6 years since I sold it for a car that gets 600 miles per tank of gas. I can't really afford a fast car these days, but thankfully motorcycles are inexpensive for how fast they are compared to cars. So now I've got something even faster and can actually hook up from a launch with my bike instead of having a useless first gear. Took me until my mid-30s to do this, but I'm having a blast and don't regret it one bit. Again, go fast, people, for low dollar. Common theme.
Except he got a freaking Energica.
He has an Energica.
That's some high dollar go slow right there.
Oh, it's not that slow. It's pretty fast. It's pretty fast.
Oh, we gotta do it to him though. Driftin' Fish is next.
Driftin' Fish says, Dad got a free bike, Kawasaki KZ440 LTD, when he was younger and grew up riding on the back. He later got a few more bikes, including a V-Star 1100. When I turned 16, I got my license and rode the 440 and the 1100 in high school. Very cool. Fast forward 4 years of college and getting married, I found another V-Star 1100 for sale and was able to pick up right where I left off. Having a bike is just something that makes driving way more fun and more involved. Just heard about Yam's dad's RD. My dad got an RD 400. That thing is wicked sounding. Yeah, my dad's RD 350 was pretty sweet. It was red, just like my R3.
Nice.
Yeah. I'd still love to get one day, just as a cool homage.
Yep.
But, yeah, a lot of people growing up riding on the back. That'll make a motorcyclist real quick.
Oh, hell yeah.
Yeah.
The V-Star is a name I keep seeing throughout all these stories. The V-Star series of bikes.
Dude, I think Japanese metric cruisers, because that's what that is, right?
Yeah.
I think they just made so many of them that so many people have a story with one of them, you know?
Yeah.
But the V-Star specifically, I've seen a lot of it. Yeah.
Bad Assler is next.
Bad Assler says, when I was a youth, probably 10 or 11, my grandparents had a Honda C70 Passport. My extended family had a farm that was 400 acres of various oddities, and my cousins and I rode that Passport around like it was a dirt bike for years. I've ridden a bunch of different bikes from then until now, but I can still remember tearing around on that thing with the cousin on the back sitting on the grass with absolutely zero traction. The OG dirt bike. Look at that little thing, man, with the little basket out front.
That thing's crazy.
That's awesome.
It's so cute.
It's very cool.
It's so cute.
And then people are like, I need a proper enduro bike to ride off-road. Dude's doing it on a Passport.
Yeah.
You're good. As long as it got wheels, you're fine.
You just need more yeet energy.
Yep.
Emperor DD is next.
Okay, I just recently started riding bikes when me and some trucker friends were planning a road trip around some theme parks, and we thought off putting a twist to it and riding on bikes instead of a rental car. That was a weird sentence. My friends backed out, but I kept up and ended up doing the MSF and got my endorsement, and now I practice on my dad's 01 Suzuki Intruder. And whenever I have free time on the road, like 3 days ago in Vegas, I rented an R3 and rode out to the Valley of Fire Canyon. Very cool. I even had the chance to drive my dream intermediate bike, the Tuono 660 in Denver after a delivery. Nice. It looks just like our RS660.
Yeah, I really want to ride the Tuono 660
Dude,
factory.
I think it'd be perfect. I think it'd be a perfect bike.
Yeah.
Yeah. Opens you up to all kinds of experiences. Thank you, Emperor DD.
Next up, we got Goat Roper.
Goat Roper here says, I grew up on a farm in Iowa in the 80s. My father bought me an ATC 110, yes, 3 wheels, but the adventures I got to have on a couple hundred acres were priceless. I unfortunately broke it in half jumping it after a couple years, but I was hooked on the wind in my hair that I used to have. Yeah, farm bikes, man. Tooling around on acreage. That's what people like.
Well, that ATC 110 that's the murder trike.
It is the murder trike.
So it's a miracle you survived.
Yep, it was a different time. Alrighty, folks, that's going to wrap up the DM segment for today. Thank you for sharing your stories. We really do appreciate it. Now we're going to move on to a fun little game of trivia between me and Spite. Let's see who knows more. Alrighty, folks, welcome to what would normally be the meme contest. This week we're doing trivia.
Yep.
Do we know any of the questions? They're completely unknown to us, right?
They're completely unknown to us.
So we're just walking to the void. This is different than us. We normally do memes, so this is different.
The way this worked is we were sitting around trying to think of some extra things that we could add to the end of the Yamcast, just to spice things up. And so we came up with the idea of doing this trivia.
Yep.
And I just was like, come up with some facts about motorcycles that you think are cool that we should know. Give us the answer, and Whitney created it, and they, I believe, have some custom or some suggestions for prizes / punishments for the winner / loser.
What's our suggestions?
I'm not sure yet. We're gonna find out.
Okay, geez. All right. Well, I don't know what I'm playing for, but I hope I win.
So let's start out. I'm gonna close these windows down, and we're gonna start out with question number 1. How many iterations of the ZX6R have there been?
All right, let me think. Okay, so that used to be the ZX7, so that was the ZX6.
I think it was 6, right?
I'm going to say 5.
I think it was 6. Let's see. 9.
9. Oh, okay, wow.
So technically I'm closer, but we were both off by that.
We were both off, yeah. None of us got it correct.
So that's a 0 so far.
9 versions of the ZX6, wow.
That's a lot of bikes.
That is a lot.
Okay, next up. What was the very first 6-speed production motorcycle, and when did it begin production? Very first 6-speed bike.
This reminds me of the trivia game we played at the million subscriber party that we had at my place. This is hard.
If I had to guess, first 6-speed was probably in the 80s, like probably 87.
I think it was in the 80s, and I think it was a Honda.
Yeah, I think it would probably be a Honda from the 80s.
I'm gonna say 1986 Honda VFR.
That would have been like a 750.
I think that was the first 6-speed. What if we're way off?
What if it's the Gixxer 750?
Oh man, I don't know.
Did they make was the 750 around back? I think it was 87.
87 was the
and the Gixxer 750.
Yeah,
let's see. Suzuki Hustler from 63. Damn. I was closest with the Suzuki.
Yeah, you did get Suzuki right. We were way off on the years.
Damn.
Can any of us get a correct answer here? Jesus.
Next up, when did Triumph release their first motorcycle, the Triumph 1? 1900, 1901, or 1902?
I know the year, but I don't know if this person knows that that was a prototype. So I'm going to say 1902. That's my answer. I know it was 1902. Yeah.
1902.
Yep.
So
because they're celebrating 120 years now, but they recently unearthed a prototype one from 1901. That's why I was like, the official answer is 1902. But yeah,
I've written enough lists at this point to have that one in the dome. So what are we going to call that? 1 each?
I think 1 each. Yeah.
Okay. Go to the sheet and add 1 each right there. Okay, next up, we've got, in what year was the most glorious sounding motorcycle, the CBX 1000, produced? It's 1100.
Yeah.
87.
No. I think it's 82. That's my answer.
It's that early? I think it's 87.
I think it's 82.
78.
Damn it. I knew it was earlier than 87. 78.
Damn, that's early for that bike.
It was crazy.
Shoot.
That wasn't, the reason that bike is so nuts is because the CB 750 hadn't, that was 72. So 6 years later, they were like, here's a 6-cylinder 1000. People were like, holy
God
got their
damn.
brains melted, you know?
Yeah.
It was the fastest bike in the world at one time.
Damn. That's crazy.
Yeah. 78. Wow.
Next up, what was the production year that Yamaha introduced the cross-plane crank?
2009.
Yep.
2009. Come on. Come on. Too easy. Sport bike knowledge? Come on.
Do we want to count that as one each there?
One each, I think. Because
Yep.
we both got it right.
So we're both tied at 2. What was the first year the ZX6R was made?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Okay. The Yamaha R6 was made in 1999
Nine.
because it was the brother to the R1.
Mm-hmm.
The ZX6 has to be close to that.
Yeah,
Because they had the ZX7 in 98.
Mm-hmm.
I know that.
What if I think it was 2001?
I'm gonna say 2000. That's my guess.
2000? Yep. I think 2001, just to be different. 1995. God damn.
Oh man.
Man, we
terrible
suck.
at this.
Was it the ZX6R in 1995?
That's what I'm wondering. Or was it like how Yamaha had like the Thundercat, you know?
Let's do a Google. I'm curious now.
You're like, yeah, 1995 ZX6.
Nope. It was just straight up. This was the one with all the weird colors and stuff.
Yeah, but look at those ergos.
I mean,
it's kind of like a 600R Thundercat or whatever the hell that thing was.
It's got ZX6R on the plastic.
It says it on the plastic, so you can't knock it. That is a ZX6R.
Yup.
95, bro. Wow.
Damn. Alrighty, so we're doing
great.
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
Which motorcycle did Lawrence of Arabia most enjoy riding and unfortunately die riding?
Oh, I know this.
I think it was the Vincent Black Shadow.
I think that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. Wait, let me think.
Or was it a Bruff Superior? I think it was the Vincent Black Shadow.
It wasn't a Triumph because that was Steve McQueen.
Yep.
Lawrence of Arabia, I think he rode a Vincent Black Shadow. That's my guess. Yeah.
Bruff Superior. So I changed my answer.
You changed your mind. You had it.
Damn it.
You had it.
Damn it.
Damn.
Oh,
No points.
Bummer.
Because you went with Vincent Black Shadow, right?
Yeah, I swear, because the Vincent Black Shadow was the baddest thing in the world.
It
at
was,
the time.
yeah. But the Bruff Superior, I think, was the faster bike at some point. I don't know.
At one point, yeah. Okay, next up. What was the first DCT bike and what year did it come out? Dual clutch transmission.
It's Honda.
It's a Honda.
Had to be Honda. I think it was because I saw this in a video the other day that Adam Wahid did about this. I think the first DCT bike was a 2010 Goldwing.
Was it the 2010 Goldwing or was it something weird like the NM4? One of those weird like Japanese cruisers that
or was it
have.
like an NC bike?
Yeah.
I'm gonna stick with Goldwing. I think it was the DCT Goldwing in 2010.
I think it was like the NM4, one of those weird like CTX or NM4s.
What year are you saying?
I think probably 2010 is about the right year. That would have been, it's like 2010 or 2012.
Okay, let's see.
VFR 1200F. Damn.
What year did you guess?
I guessed 2010 or 2012, so I guess I am not right there.
Okay, I said 2010, so I got the year right, but I didn't get the VFR, really? Before the Goldwing? Damn.
That's brutal.
That is brutal.
I should have known that. I was a VFR boy for a year.
The VFR 1200 doesn't count. Everyone knows that.
Yeah.
That's the redheaded stepchild.
Do you want to get a half a point for getting the year right?
Did we do that for the... You said, well, I'd have to give you half a point because you got Suzuki right on that other one. And we didn't do that for you.
Okay.
So let's... No point.
No point. Fuchsia.
What was the technical model number, for example, NC blank, of the series of 399cc V4 motorcycles that Honda made in the early 90s as a scaled-down version of the larger VFR race bike models of the day?
RVF 400. Wasn't it?
Technical model number, for example. Yeah, that's what I was going to say because I rode that bike in Australia. It's the RVF 400. Yeah.
NC30, also called the
VFR 400R. Okay, but let's just do a correction. If you look up, because RVF was the designation in, I think, Australia and the other markets.
Let's double check. RVF 400.
Is that the same NC? Yeah,
NC35.
399cc V4. Yeah, it's the same thing.
Yeah.
Right?
So I think we're both right there.
Yeah.
RVF 400.
Okay, look, the most obvious differences between the VFR 400 and the RVF 400 are the front forks, upside down, 17. Yeah, I'll give it to us.
Okay. So maybe that's a half a point.
Maybe that's a half a point. We were damn close.
2.5s each.
Yeah, and I think Fuchsia wanted us to get like the shorthand, like NC30.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up, we've got, when was the first V-twin engine motorcycle made?
Oh shit! What was the year?
1901, I believe, and it wasn't a Harley. It was I think it was like a Bruff or a Vincent, way back in the day, like mega early on.
So I know that motorcycles started in 1885, so it can't be before that. I'm going to say that the first V-twin motorcycle engine was in 1898. That's my guess.
1898, and that was 1901.
Yeah, that was my guess.
November 1902.
You were very close.
Shoot. Very close.
Very close.
But close is no cigar.
Nope.
All right. How many lives has the Isle of Man TT claimed in its 106 years? A lot.
A lot. I think like 2 or 3 people die every year, basically. Yeah. So I'm going to use that as my average. I'm going to say that the TT has claimed 320 lives in 106 years. About 3 people per year. That's my guess.
I'm going to guess probably a little higher because early on I bet people were like...
That is just nuking themselves. Jesus. Yeah, that's true.
So what you were at 320?
I said 320.
I'm going to guess probably like 375.
Okay.
I think like early on they were just getting mangled.
Okay, let's see. 239. Okay, our guesses were pretty reasonable. Yeah. We went a little too high, but...
That's actually not that bad. Man. I mean, that's still a lot, but it's 106 years.
106 years. I mean, that's more than a life every year, though.
Yeah.
It's like someone dies there every year. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
How do we want to score that one? We were both off by a pretty large margin.
No points. Yeah.
Insurance companies say that up to X% of motorcycle theft claims are received by them are fake.
Ooh.
What percent are
you would get hot
claims?
Water doing that, wouldn't you? That's fraud,
yeah, you would
right?
get that's insurance fraud.
That's not a good crime you want to be doing. Insurance companies say that up to a blank percentage of the bike.
I'm gonna guess crazy high, 90%.
90%?
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna say 40%.
40%.
Yeah, 90's crazy.
I could see that being like in the UK or some.
That's true. Yeah. I'm gonna stick with 40.
40. 25.
That's still high. 90% is fucking nuts, dude. That'd be like 9 out of 10 claims are just like, you didn't get stolen.
I mean, given the I had to go through when mine was stolen, like they were like, you need to show us that you have both keys.
Yeah.
To your motorcycle before we like even go anywhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God damn, really? So 25%.
1 out of 4 is fake. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
I feel like we're still way far off for both of those.
Yeah.
Claus, what is the longest distance covered in 24 hours on a motorcycle by an individual?
Okay.
Iron Butt is 1,200. I think that's the Iron Butt Academy right there.
That's 1,200 miles in 24 hours?
Yeah. So I'm thinking like 1,800 is like 70 miles an hour? No. Would be like 80 miles an hour? I think.
Yeah, just about.
You could do that? I'm going to say 1,800.
1,800? I'm going to go a little lower. just because it's hard to maintain that. Well, if they did like a cannonball run, there's a dude that did a motorcycle cannonball run from California to Florida in like 33 hours. I think he covered 2,000 something miles. I'm gonna say 2,000.
2,000?
Yeah.
Damn, you were really close.
Wow, man, 2,100 miles in 24 hours.
That's insane.
That is insane. That's like 90 miles an hour for 24 hours straight.
He's just hauling ass.
Hauling.
And you don't get to like stop for brakes. You fill up and get right back on the gas.
Yep.
So you were pretty close there.
It was pretty close.
What do you think? Do you want to get that half point there?
Well, of course I want the half point. If you're offering it.
Do you think it was close enough?
I was within 5% of it. That's a pretty close answer.
I'll give you the half point.
All right.
So that puts you at 3.
Oh boy.
What was the first production motorcycle that featured forced induction?
I think I know this. I think it was the 1984 Honda CX500 Turbo.
They made a factory turbo?
Yep. That's my answer. 1984 Honda CX500 Turbo.
I can't think of anything before the ZH2 or the H2, but I know for a fact there were other ones.
There were actually at one point every one of the big four made a factory turbo bike.
Really?
Yep.
I did not know that.
Yep. Yamaha had a weird like cruiser thing that was turbo. Suzuki made a turbo bike, but Honda was the first, I think. Of course, I have the turbo knowledge.
And yet we still don't have a factory Turbo Busa.
So
Come on,
dumb.
Suzuki.
So dumb.
Z1 RTC.
Damn it! I could have sworn it was a CX500 Turbo.
A CX500 Turbo would actually be pretty cool.
It was cool. Yeah.
Those are such weird little bikes.
I guess Cowie was the first one because what happened was one of them made a turbo bike first, and then all of them were like, turbo bikes are going to be a thing, and so they all scrambled to develop one, and then everyone rode them, and they were like, these are death traps. The fueling is crazy, and the boost comes on weird. They were like, this is unrideable. But I guess Cowie was the first one.
Well, nothing there for either of us.
Yep.
What is the caster effect, and what does it have to do with motorcycle engineering?
How many gyroscopes are on a motorcycle? Why did these relate?
Caster effect, and what does it have to do with motorcycle engineering? No idea.
I think so. Caster effect is kind of like I know it has to do with like a shopping cart has a caster effect because the wheels kind of like skip around and move around.
Caster as in a rolly wheel.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So I believe the caster effect is how quickly the steering is affected, or I don't know. But I think for gyroscopes, there's 3 of them on a motorcycle.
Okay, so I know there's one in the start-stop switch, or the tilt sensor. There's one in the inertial measurement unit, and then there's one...
That is not what I was thinking at all, but I was like, 2 wheels and crank. That's what I said for gyroscope.
The crank sensor, I don't think it's a gyro.
No, I mean, like, I don't think the gyroscope is something that measures. I'm just saying, like, a gyroscope is like something that's spinning. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm talking about like actual measurement gyros.
I feel like we look so stupid right now.
I mean, it's possible, but I think there's 2. There's at least 2. One is the tilt sensor, and the other is the inertial measurement unit.
Okay. Not every bike has one. I'm going to stick with my answer. There's 3 gyroscopes on a bike, and they relate to the caster because it has to affect the steering of the bike. That's what I'm going to say.
Okay. God damn. Okay.
Okay, the caster effect is in regard to motorcycles is a phenomenon that happens when the trail of the wheel is behind the steering angle, i.e. contact patch behind the fork, creating a self-centering, self-aligning effect on the object in motion. Having positive caster like this allows for better handling overall, stability at speed, but more importantly, it gives the bike the ability to lose traction and self-correct, backing in and recovering from high side. Yeah, so it's like, you know how you have like rake on a motorcycle and it points out this way? Mm-hmm. If you had negative rake like this way, it wouldn't work.
Yeah.
Because it would just it wouldn't self-correct. I think that's what it is.
Okay.
A motorcycle is made up of 3 gyroscopes, the 2 wheels and the spinning clutch inside the engine. I did it.
Yeah. You had that one.
Yes. These 3 gyros work in tandem along lateral and longitudinal axis, given the rider's inputs. Because the gyros are spinning, they benefit from the caster effect and ultimately work to balance the bike at speed. That's basically what I said. This is why bikes in MotoGP will buck off a rider and then immediately correct and fly in a straight line down the track until they are stopped by an object or surface change. Overall, the caster effect and gyroscopes work under the same force to create a more stable, efficient instrument to take around corners and not crash.
So I fundamentally misunderstood the question.
You sure did.
But you got that one right. At
I
least
got it
half
right.
of it.
I got at least half of that right.
Yeah.
I didn't get the caster correct. I did say it was like the shopping cart thing and the steering. It was loosely there. I didn't explain it at all.
Yeah.
But I did get the 3 gyroscope thing.
So we'll give you the half point for a solid, like,
Yes.
half correct there. All right.
Yes. I have a margin.
Punishments. Oh, so you win.
Oh, yes.
There you go.
I did it.
You've beaten me.
St. Wiggle says the loser has to wear BMW merch in a video. Dark Red Fox, loser is to rent out a Royal Enfield Meteor 350 for a day and ride around Austin in a high-vis vest and getting a backpack while going around doing hipster stuff like getting coffee and whatnot. Wow.
So having to ride a Meteor 350 for a day.
I feel like you could make that fun, though.
Yeah.
Can we get a Meteor 350 for you to do that with?
I don't know. They're not. I don't think there's any on
Twisted Road.
there might be.
Really?
Yeah,
There's a Meteor 350 on Twisted Road?
let me pull this up real quick.
No, I'm pretty sure it's it was an Interceptor 650, right?
Same thing.
Just as fast.
All right,
Let's take a look and see if there's one available, and then we'll figure this out.
Oh, if I can spell. There we go. Bonneville. None of that is correct.
R9T, XSR 700. I don't think there's
a Rebel
Meteor.
250. It's pretty damn close.
That's pretty close. We could do the Rebel 250. That's basically the same thing. A couple of your bikes.
Another Rebel. No, I thought there was a Meteor.
Okay, but the Rebel 250 is about as good.
Yeah.
So, I guess since you lost,
we have to rent the Rebel.
Yep. You just pick a day, rent the Rebel, and just like make a fun vlog with it. I guess just be like, this is my punishment for losing the trivia contest
On the Yamcast.
Yeah, not have to spend the whole day on it, but there you go. That we have to put that in the content calendar. Like, Spite rides a Rebel 250. It is not gonna move with your weight,
No,
dude.
it's
like,
gonna be miserable.
Oh my god, it's not gonna move. Is that a single still or a parallel?
No, it's a parallel twin. It's
Wow.
or maybe it's a Twingle. Let's see here.
A Twingle?
Yeah.
What is that?
So Twingles were technically 2-strokes, so I'm not sure it's a thing, but it's two parallels. A parallel twin that shares one combustion chamber.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, is it I think I've seen those. They have 2 exit chambers out of the exhaust, but just 1 cylinder, right?
Yeah, I think like the XR was a Twingle.
Yeah, I remember those. I wasn't there, but like
Straight twin. So that's a parallel twin. 234 cc's. That's going to be a fun day.
12.4 foot-pounds of torque.
That's a real bike right there.
Oh, and apparently you have to wear the high-vis vest, too.
Do we have a high-vis vest?
We can procure one pretty easily on Amazon.
Oh, that'll make for an
I have to
interesting
join
video.
you on this day. I feel like I have to join you in solidarity. That'll be fun to share that day together.
Yup.
Yeah, I don't know what I'll ride, but we'll figure something
Gixxer
out.
250.
Why am I getting punished? I won. I don't want to ride that bike. We'll figure something out. Anyways, guys, we hope you enjoyed the trivia section on the Yamcast here. We had a lot of fun doing this. If you had fun with this section, you want us to keep doing this, let us know down in the comments. We really enjoyed it. That was a good one. I liked it.
I enjoyed that.
That was fun. But yeah, that's going to wrap up the Yamcast. Catch you in the next one. See you later. All right, look, you don't have to lie to me. If you had time for one Yami Noob video all the way to the end, you probably have time for another one. You should probably just click this link and watch the video right over here. I promise it's going to be good. You won't regret it. Seriously, you should just click it. I'm sure it's good. We only make good stuff around here. You should just watch it. Why are you still here?